Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to our first installment of Sikhicast. First, I want to start off by saying anything that we say during this, if we make a mistake, please forgive us. But we are a English language based podcast where we'll be interviewing converts to Sikhi from the West and other Western countries, and about how Sikhi has influenced their life. Is that it's really hard for converts and even Punjabis themselves to distinguish between what is Sikh culture and what is Punjabi culture.
Exactly.
Even for us. So you and I are raised in America. Some of our guests are going to be from Sweden, Afghanistan, from Europe, Germany. So their culture is a little bit different, right? But it's important for them. It's hard for them to distinguish between what is Sikh and what is Punjabi culture. And when you're coming into Sikhi, since a majority, right now, a majority of the people are Punjabi, you have to sit there and kind of sift through, okay, is this a Sikh teaching or is this a Punjabi thing?
Right.
Not that the Punjabi things are bad, but if they are not in line with Sikhi, then we have to abandon those things in favor of what is Sikhi. So the same with our Western cultures. I'm from the East Coast, so whatever kind of things that we do that may be anti-Gurmat, we can no longer participate in. And take that as you will, like what is with your conscience? Like some people think it's okay to dance as a Sikh, some people don't. Go with your conscience, man.
Right.
So and we're not going to get into that particular one, but it's just what's the difference between, and then when we're being political, what are our motives for being political? Because our motives behind those politics should be rooted in the values of the Khalsa. Henna, and Henna means you agree, it's just kind of confirming you understood what I said in Punjabi. So, and it's going to come out of my mouth. All the Punjabi stuff is going to come out of my mouth. And so I'll try and explain too. And before you know it, we'll have all I was going to say gore. Gore means white people in Punjabi. We'll have all the gore saying stuff in Punjabi to everybody. So, and then another thing you said, you never saw really any Sikhs in the US, but in Canada and the UK, because I guess they've been there longer, but also those cultures sort of absorb Sikhs into the fabric of their society. They're in the government, they're in the police force, all that stuff. So it's very normalized. It's very, people are used to seeing them in different roles. People are used to seeing turbaned people, and they understand who they are and maybe a little about what we stand for. Whereas here, I feel like part of the American culture is that you mind your own business. And so Punjabis have done that so well. They're in these little bubbles where everyone's like, is that Muhammad or Gurpreet? I'm not sure.
Right.
And then they're kind of mad about it. So it's okay for us to get out there and be visibly Sikh and tell people who we are. And since Sikhi doesn't believe in conversion, there isn't any pressure. It really is just, when people in my experience, people tend to be more curious than anything, Punjabis and Americans and non-Punjabis alike, so this is a really good opportunity for us to just get educated and raise awareness about who we are. And another point of this, that yes, we're Sikhs, but because we come from a different culture, we have our own subculture within Sikhi. That English is our first language, that, we do weird American things like try to shake people's hands. Because, for anybody who's watching, this is, sorry, y'all. This is the proper greeting with your hands up like that, not touching anybody. And we're different, and I spend so much time around Punjabis, and, sometimes I make mistakes, but they're good about it. And so just see that Sikhi really is a universal faith. You don't have to be Punjabi. You don't have to be any made up ethnicity or country that we've come up with, because we're all children of the one God. We all have the same Father, so that's really the main point of this. And so it seems like you really get that. You got to see kind of really head on how joining the Sikh community is really complex, because it does involve culture and politics and faith and a lot of history. and I'm not going to name any other
Right.
faiths. Maybe when you grew up, and this could happen with any faith, even within Sikhi, depending on how your family teaches you.
Right.
You grew up where God was there to punish you, and that He was a vengeful God, and He was watching everything that you did so that He could
Yeah.
punish you. And then you
And-
come into Sikhi, where all it's talking about is a God that's a loving, who's both
Right.
father and mother. He's loving and He's forgiving, and that all these things that He's asking you to do are for your benefit. It's not because He wants to be worshipped. He's not sitting up there, oh, worship me. It's not like that. It's like it's for your benefit. And it's like you said it, because He said all these things He's asking us to do. In Gurbani it says, I have found the Lord within the home of myself. It's just like you're saying, it's with all these things that you're desiring to do. When you feel you're listening to the kirtan and you're listening to the shabad, and then you said something inside of you is calling to you, that kirtan, the shabad, the hymn is calling to you. So that's all because of the Lord lives within the home of the self. That the Singh, or the Nihang, or the warrior, is sovereign unto himself. So what
Right.
you're doing to improve your connection and your relationship with the God is just what you should be doing. And if people want to say, hey, how'd you do that? And you guys want to talk about that, that's satsang, that's cool. But it is very individual. And just like you're saying, you know, like about loving yourself and expanding your capacity for love. Love means so much more than I thought it did before I became a Sikh. Like,
Right.
I thought love was like, oh yeah, you fall in love with someone and you get married, and then you love your kids and you love the people you're related to. And sometimes you have friends that you love, but that's pretty much it. But that's
Right.
not true. Like, you can have a universal compassion and empathy and love for all living things.
Right.
And because Sikhi teaches us that the jot, or the light, that's in you is the same jot or light that's in everything, the trees, the dogs, everybody and everything. And when someone's expressing that jot, they're expressing that light, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So why are you having a problem with that? As long as the person's not hurting anyone.
Right.
Well, if they're not hurting anyone or hurting themselves, or they're not hurting anyone, then, and the things you're saying is like, you say, oh, like maybe you were saying like the beliefs are similar in these different faiths, right? Or it's a combination of beliefs. The gurus took the truth, because you cannot mask the truth. There's nothing in the Guru Granth Sahib that contradicts itself.
Right.
These are all things that they're just said in a different, because it's a collection of hymns, which is actually poems.
Right.
They're all saying in different ways these ultimate truths about the nature and the personality of God.
Right.
And about loving yourself, even keeping our case, which our hair, is saying that this is our true image, is what we're supposed to look like.
Right.
And by accepting that this is truly what I look like, with long ratty hair, or hairy legs, or hairy armpits, or hairy upper lip, or women that have hair on their chin, and all that stuff, that if I can love that, despite what the society is telling me that I should love, that I love myself fully and completely, because God gave me this life and gave me this roof, this appearance, and I love it, then you can love everybody else. You can say, you know what, since I have accepted myself, I can also accept you. And I would say the number one thing that human beings have problem with in their life is acceptance of all things. Their appearance, their freckles, their condition in life, they're accepting that maybe this is the way things are, and there's some things you can change and some things you can't change. But acceptance, and I think that's a really key tenet in Sikhi, and that's what the Guru is asking us to do. Like, everything has a meaning and stuff. Like you said, even the bana, like, it has a meaning. It is to set us apart, and that we would, fight to defend ourselves and fight to defend someone else. That the true test of our humanity is, would we die to save someone else?
Right.
And I think that American culture is actually quite in line with Sikh culture, and that if we could bridge the gap, which is what we're trying to do here, that Americans could see, they'll love Sikhs as much as Sikhs love America. And like you said, we're peace-loving, but we're not pacifist.
Right.
That's American. That's super freaking American. You should be able to have weapons to defend you and your family and defend others that can't defend themselves. That's American. That everyone is free and equal to enjoy their life in peace. That's American. Sikhi teaches that.
Very, very, very.
So I think we just need to get out there. Like, we're getting out there over the internet, because let's face it, most people are on the internet now. But we can get out there, and people like you and say, listen, even later in my life, look what I discovered about myself that maybe I never knew, finding the balance.
Right.
So this is Miri and Piri between our temporal world and the spiritual world, and how we act in our temporal world and in the spiritual world. And Sikhi is showing us the roadmap to being a high caliber person in both the temporal and the spiritual world. Like, how many things can you say? Are there any other written manuscripts you can come up with that are like seriously like so dead on? I haven't found any. That's why I have a turban on my head, because as soon as I read all that stuff after reading everything that I thought I could possibly get my hands on about God and what does God want from us.
Right.
Sikh said it. And I was like, that's talking directly to me. I feel that in my insides, right? You said, I feel that inside of me. That is it. And Sikhi, when we talk about progressing spiritually, and when I say progressing spiritually, this is not a hierarchy. This is not so-and-so is more spiritual than so-and-so. So-and-so has Amrit, so they're better than so-and-so. Someone has their hair and this person doesn't, so they're better than so-and-so. Ain't nobody on here said that. We're so wrapped up in all this stuff. And so when we talk about in Sikhi, attachment is one of the 5 thieves that it steals our connection with God. Is attachment to the past, attachment to things that we've done wrong, attachments to worldly things like my car or whatever else, even attachment, even guilt. You feel guilt for something you did in the past. Let it go. Like you said, let it go, because that's attachment and it's holding you back from connecting to God. And also, so we know that the 5 thieves are Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar. So greed, attachment, ego or egoism, lust, and anger. And so Krodh, the anger, it means rage. So there is a righteous anger, and we all know that, we can even bring this up. Jesus flipped the tax collector or the money changers' tables, right? That's a righteous anger, right? If we want to use an example that a lot of people in the West are familiar with. But I think if you haven't, even just in the idea that people are like, wow, being angry, how's that separate you from God?
Right.
How many people want to be around an angry person? Or have you ever gotten real angry, right? And then everybody who's acting not angry is like, okay, crazy.
Right.
So you just totally put a wall between you and all those other people.
Exactly.
By holding on to something that is not part of God's personality. Do you see how he tells us that it's not? He says to kill that. He says to kill your ego and to kill your anger. So if we are children of an angry, vengeful, punishing God, why would he tell us, don't be angry? Why would he do that? We learn about what is the personality of a God-like soul, someone who is humble, kind, loving, respectful, absorbed in God. And so we have the 3 main things, which are the easiest things that you can follow to be a Sikh, no matter what kind of hair you have, no matter what's on or not on your head, no matter what color, no matter Kirtkar, it's like Nam Japana, which means to say the name of God or remember God. So keep him in the forefront of your mind. Even if you're just doing dishes, you're saying Waheguru. So you're remembering God, because keeping God's name in your mind erases all of your bad karma, all of the negative thoughts, all of the anxieties, all of the things that keep us separate from God. It eliminates ego, because we're separated from God because of our ego. And then 2 is Kirtkarna, which is work hard. We have in God we trust on our money in America. Work hard. People talk about the American dream all the time. How do you get the American dream? You work hard. American and Sikh. Put God first. In God we trust. American and Sikh. And then the 3rd thing is Vanchakana, which means to share with others. To share with others, the charity. And so if you do those 3 things, those will move you on to the next level. And it's baby steps, man. When you're a baby and those steps look so big to you when you're a baby. But as you grow, that step looks a little bit easier. And then you go up the first one, you're like, oh, that wasn't so hard. And then you go up the second one. That's Sikhi, man. That's Sikhi, man. Sikh means learner or student. You're going to keep learning for the rest of your life, and you want to perfect yourself. Perfect how I interact with other human beings. Perfect how do you show the light of God in the world? Not by screaming at people and chopping their heads off and telling them they need to do this, or tricking them into converting to your religion and you'll give them food or money. Guru Nanak, yeah, he was born a Hindu, but he refused all the Hindu rituals, and he said all these rituals and superstitions don't get us closer to the God.
Right.
And all going out into the caves and hiding out there so that we can meditate on God, that's not doing it either, because then you never learned how to live in the world or show other people the light of God in the world.
Yep.
And so he found the way to do that, and he did it through music. And so it's so interesting, you came, we connected with God through music for the first time. And once we had that connection, we knew we had to have it again. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so we went to the Gurdwara. And when I went to the Gurdwara, I mean, tell me, but I don't know for you, like when you went to the Gurdwara, it was like you came home to your parents' home, like your father's home, but you knew you hadn't been there in a long time. And it's like you can't put your finger on it. You know why? Because it's something you never experienced before in your life. Just like people say, oh, how does it feel when you do Nam Simran? That's like saying, how does honey taste? I've never tasted it before, but tell me how it tastes. You cannot describe to someone how something tastes. They just have to taste it. For those of us who felt we were called into Sikhi through a feeling, through a connection to God, I've had so many people say, I'm so jealous of that because I've been a Sikh my whole life, raised in a Sikh family, going to Gurdwara, trying my hardest, and I've never felt what you're talking about. And I said, bro, just come with me. Like, if you want it, and God knows you want it, because he's Antarajami. Antarajami means the inner knower. He knows exactly what's on our heart, right?
Right.
He knows if you sincerely really want that connection with him and you pursue it, you can take one step. And I've heard people say, as you take one step towards him, he'll take 1,000 towards you. So I say, bro, let's go. Let's talk about it. Let's work it out. Maybe even if just you sit differently, like it'll get, because the issue, it's not him not trying to connect with you. It's something is in your way. Something's in your way. And sometimes it's just you. When you get really deep in the Simran and you feel that feeling like you're connected, that's when you ask him for what you need, ask him for what you want. Thank God. Whatever you have to do. Yeah, there's the Ardas and there's the official way to do it where we do it as a group. But when it's just you, and even if you're in a group doing this Simran, because we're all connecting to God at that same time and it's very powerful, but it's still individual, and everything that you have, all that those screw ups and all that guilt and all that attachment and all that, everything you just said, just give it to him. Just say, please take that from me. Just please take it. All the negative vibes, all the politics, all the BS, just God, please take that from me. And the thing is, it says in Gurbani, Sache Naam Mera Adharo. So the Naam is my only support. So whenever everything else is just seems to be going the wrong way, if you turn to that, it'll turn around for you. I promise you. And it sounds, I used to be a person that was like, oh yeah, listen to the people getting all religious. So it's just like, oh yeah, maybe that works for them or whatever, or they're just saying that because they want your money, or that. I don't want your money. I want to help you. And I'm telling you, I've experienced PTSD, I've experienced sadness, I've experienced depression, I've experienced anxiety. And even in Gurbani, God addresses anxiety. It says, oh, crazy mind. He calls you, oh, crazy mind. Yeah, I definitely classify minds as crazy. Right. In the Simran, if you're saying, Waheguru, 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 you're saying that, you can empty out. First, you can erase your karma. It says that in Gurbani. You can erase your karma. So all those past responsibilities, all those boo-boos that you did, you can erase it. You can erase the anxiety. You can erase the negative thoughts. You can erase the hatred that you have held on to. All the things, all the attachment, which is Maya, all that things that you're holding on to, let it go. And in that time when you're connected to him, it's like you're sitting right at his feet. Just say, take it from me. Take it. Take the pain. Take all my friends' problems that they keep calling me about. Take all of that. Because I don't want it in here. This belongs to you. And this belongs to you. And it says, give your head to him. I guess since we're on air, I'm going to be like really clear with everybody, because so I myself have not yet taken Amrit. I've discussed this with a couple of people. So I'm Panch Kakare and I'm Abilaki, which means I'm a candidate for Amrit. So let's start this out all being honest, so nobody comes back later and is like, well, she didn't say all that. She just said all that. Yeah. So I'm wearing the kakars, practicing my nitnem, and practicing, everything in preparation for Amrit, which I'm taking very soon. It's kind of a when and where sort of thing. COVID smacked us real hard. A lot of other things happened. And yeah, you don't want to make excuses. And yeah, people say, why wait? Just do it. And sometimes it is that simple. And sometimes it's not. and we don't want to judge anybody else. And I'm not saying don't judge me. You guys judge me. I don't care. So like, but yeah, I really wanted to be honest with that. At next month's shows will be the first Sunday of every month at 6 p.m. We're going to have Dr. Jasjeet Kaur, also known as Dr. Ginger R. Franklin. And she's going to talk about a little bit about her getting into Sikhi and about her books and about her how Sikhi inspired her to do refugee resettlement in the United States. So that's a lot of work that she does, and also going to refugee sites all over the world and joining different organizations to assist with that. So she'll tell us all about her work and how Sikhi inspired her, and then also how it deepens her Sikhi. And I think that'll be like really awesome. So hopefully everyone will tune in for that. And then just maybe make a couple of clarifications when we're talking about spreading awareness about Sikhi, is that we do not believe in converting anyone, and this is by no means any type of conversion tactic or of any kind. And we're not sly, sneaky people. We just want to talk about the beauty of our experience, and we want to share that with other people who had similar beautiful experiences or want to hear about that and get inspired to maybe go out and find out really what they do believe, or what puts them at peace, or what helps them hear God or hear the purpose of their life, or help people, or just to go out and help people. So just all good vibes here. So thanks for tuning in, and we hope we see you next time. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.